And welcome back, everybody, once again, to the Mind Blossom. Welcome to the Mind Blossom, where we talk about artwork, we talk about just living. I talk about random stuff that comes to mind. And it is my hope that it all comes out in a lucid, cohesive stream of consciousness. I think one day I will try to structure these one-sided conversations a little bit more so that I maintain some kind of ongoing topic. But today, that ain't gonna happen. Today, I'm freestyling it, y'all. And I want to talk about the spirit that is in all things. Have you heard of animism? Animism is the idea that everything has a spirit. Even this mic that I'm talking into, your cup of coffee. The cup of coffee actually has a lot of spirit in it. The spirit of coffee is more alive, more robust. It has more life force than, let's say, the mug itself. The coffee, the piping hot coffee, the caffeine. There's an energy there. It's more alive than the mug itself. But the mug has a spirit too. Machines. Thinking of cars, aircraft, iPad, our phone. These things have spirits. There is a degree of consciousness in every object. But why does that matter? Okay, first of all, is that true? Well, in my opinion, yes. And I say in my opinion because I can't prove it. But it's something that resonates with me, and I decide that it's true. And I don't lose anything. I'm not at risk of losing anything by deciding that it's true. Could it be false? Possibly, I guess so. But I have everything to gain by believing in it, and I have nothing to lose. So I'm going to decide that animism is real, like a shaman. A shaman would see life in everything. Now, the benefit of that is that you feel more gratitude towards everything that you get involved with. If you dehumanize something, it's easier to discard it or treat it without respect. Because when we consider an object or a person or whatever, if we don't see the life in something, we're more likely to kind of just treat it like crap. But if we begin to see that everything has a spirit, we are more likely to be tender and respectful towards that thing. This does not apply to everybody. You know, we all know people out there who, no matter what, they don't care at all. They'll be disrespectful towards anybody, anything. If they can't get something from you, they don't care about you at all. And some people take it a step further, and they like to be malicious. They derive energy from being malicious. And we say, I don't understand that. How could anybody be that way? Well, of course you don't understand it, because it's not in your nature. But there's a lot of people out there whose nature it is to be malicious, hateful, vengeful. Revenge is such a powerful emotion, but it requires maintenance. In order to keep revenge alive in your system, you need to fuel the fire. You need to keep the furnace hot. And is that worth it? For me, no way. I don't like dealing with that feeling of revenge. sometimes I can't really help it because we all get jealous and we all think back on things, or we all have our moments where the lower self takes over. But I just as easily let it all pass because it's not worth it for me to use revenge. I'm not a Sith Lord. All right? I used to think I was, but I'm not built for that. And so I don't really deal with revenge like that. But for the people who are on the dark side, you can use revenge to do, you can use that energy to fuel your actions. And if you have the right intentions, with revenge plus certain intentions, you can start doing some, that's how dark magic happens. When I say dark magic, wait, dark. What do you mean dark magic? Let me take that back. Bad word for it. What I mean to say is baneful magic. You know what I mean? Baneful magic is designed to hurt somebody. So you've got the intention to hurt somebody, and you've got the energy to fuel the spell. And the energy has to be something like revenge or anger. It has to match the intention, okay? But in the Mind Blossom, we believe it or not, even though we have these crazy pictures that with these evil eyes and these desecrated faces and things ripped apart and all, that's just a process of sublimation. All of our intense primal energy goes into artwork instead of being unconsciously exerted onto the people around us. The Mind Blossom right now, this form of digital alchemy, this type of artwork that I'm making, is what we call sublimation. What Freud would call sublimation. And I don't know why I'm talking about Freud so much, because I was talking about him in the last video. But I guess it's just on my mind. Sublimation is the process of converting primal, socially unacceptable energies into art, or into something of socially acceptable value. So if you're a very aggressive person and you want to hurt people and you can't help it, you just want to, you might consider doing MMA, or at the very least going to the gym. You know what I mean? Both of those things are socially acceptable, and they satisfy your desire to annihilate something. But not every emotion is sometimes we need to sublimate sadness, or, well, I don't know, anything. But that's what sublimation is. And that's what I do a lot of with my artwork. I don't know what we were talking about. Like I said, this is kind of a tangential format where it just branches off into so many different topics. I don't have another person here to, navigate this conversation with me, so it's a monologue. This is what it turns into. And with no guide, the monologue just spins, and I'm not going to say out of control, but we can just go anywhere. And in these videos, the majority of the details actually get taken care of in like the first 10 minutes, as you can see. Like I've already set the foundation for my artwork. And the rest of the video is just nitpicky details, trying to get things close to perfect. And I scan the picture for little details that don't work, things that need to be changed. I give myself some time to get nitpicky, which is to say I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, but I also don't really care about being perfect. In the end, I'll let it go. Especially with these really surreal abstract pictures. There's no need. There is no perfect. Thank God. Because then I'd never finish a picture ever. They would all just be works in progress forever. One time I listened to an interview with Eric Andre, and somebody asked him, he was actually at the dentist. He was getting his teeth whitened for the upcoming season. And he was talking with the clinician, or whoever it was, and he mentioned that something about he wants to, at the end of his career, look back and be proud of his body of work. And that is, I feel that. I want to make a body of work that I can look back on and be proud of. That makes me wonder, what will the last picture I ever make? Because probably, one day I'll have my last picture ever that I ever make. The first picture I ever made in my life, that's already lost. Who knows what the first artwork I ever made was? But it just makes you think about these things. And when you put life in those terms, it kind of forces you to be, oh, geez, I feel more grateful now for everything that I have, since I know that any of it and all of it can be lost. All of it will go away. I look around at all of these luxuries that surround me, and I realize that they're all fleeting. They're not even real, but I'm trying to take this game somewhat seriously, and so I pretend that they're real, and I do more than pretend. I'm actually under the spell. I'm addicted to the illusion of matter, to the point where I really actually do think all this is real. And yet, on an intellectual level, I know it's not. Well, I kind of have that cognitive dissonance. I'm like, I know this is all real, but I also know it's not real. You see my dilemma here? You have that same situation. But we just got to be in the world and not of it. So we're all hanging out here, but we know that on the more grand scheme, we belong to the stars. And even beyond that, we belong to dimensions much higher than the stars. The stars themselves are an illusion in relationship to the all. But we were talking about animism, and why it's important to consider the spirit that's latent, or not latent, but that exists in all things. It kind of makes us personify everything a little bit more. If I think that my car has a spirit, I'm going to be more graceful to my car. I'm going to want to clean it more. And I'm going to be even more mindful about getting the oil changed and taking care of it in general. Before I hopped onto this video, my computer was not working, and I was trying to get my computer to work. Now, I'm recording this on my iPad. My computer is separate, and I was getting frustrated because the computer was like bugging out a little bit. It was frozen. It started to make me mad. But what I did was I thought to myself, Frank, something's happening. And you're taking it personally, and you're letting it get under your skin. You're getting frustrated because the computer is not working. And now you're pressing buttons and tapping, and you're frustrated. You're kind of taking it down on the computer on a microscopic way. So why don't you just turn it off, shut the laptop, and let the computer sleep? So that's what I did. I'm letting the computer sleep. It's sitting over there on the chair, like a dog curled up on the chair. And it's asleep. And we'll try again later, and we'll take it from there. I caught myself. I don't want to keep tapping the key, the enter key, the power key. I don't want to keep tapping the thing and agitating the spirit of the laptop. Just let it breathe, let it relax, and let it go dormant for a while. This is going to be a shorter video, y'all. I'll just let you know, it's going to be a shorter video than what I usually post, like half as long. And that's just because the footage that I captured for this screen recording, it's not as much footage. I don't record 100% of the process for these videos. A lot of it I don't record. It just is what it is. These are not how-tos. These aren't even tutorials. I throw a little bit of practical art instruction into these videos sometimes if I feel like it, but for the most part, I'm just doing these videos as a way to catalog my thoughts and to express myself on the internet. I don't know why that's funny. It seems absurd, and yet it feels good. So I do it, and it may be helpful for somebody to hear these words. You never know what impact your words are going to make on somebody's life. Sometimes the things we say and do, they go by unnoticed, but a lot of the times they don't. A lot of the times they make an impact on somebody's life, and you'll never know what kind of impact it made. And if you did know, you'd probably be shocked. Some things that you said in the past may have touched somebody's soul, may have really done something for somebody and changed their life in a huge way that you don't even know about. And that could be positive or negative. And sometimes you'll say or do something that changes somebody's life, and they don't even realize it until like months, days, years later. And the thing is, they'll remember the message because it made an imprint on their unconscious, and now it's starting to come to the surface. But they totally forgot where it came from. So you may have done something to change somebody's life, and it's just now manifesting, and they don't even remember what you said. The message remains, but the messenger is long gone. So what do we take away from that? I guess just always be mindful of what you're doing. You never know. I mean, every moment makes a huge difference. All right? Because we think that all these moments, we take them for granted. They don't mean anything. But all the most major things that have ever happened throughout history have all occurred in some type of moment. Each moment is a vessel for a miracle to happen. And each moment really is a miracle. It's not like a lottery where some moments are miraculous and others are not. Every moment is kind of miraculous in its own way. How much of that can you become aware of? Can you become aware of that miracle, though? Some miracles are just so obvious. But really, we're just ready to see them, and we just happen to witness them. So you're probably going to go away from this video and not treat life like a miracle, and that's fine. I'm probably going to do the same thing because we forget, and we're human. But remind yourself. Just remind yourself. The nucleus of the present is so precious. It's just a breeding ground for miracles. It's actually inevitable. Miracles, I say, are not, they're everywhere. But they're not cheap. Rather, they are free. How can you serve the world? An artist, we all want to be famous. But we are actually servants. Servants to who? Not any type of God. We don't serve anyone but ourselves. And it just so happens that everybody you meet is another version of you. And so you are a servant unto yourself, but you are a servant of the world as well. You're here to serve. And that goes for artists. And artists, we kind of forget that sometimes. We think that, we want to be famous and we want to be like Basquiat, or we want to be like Jackson Pollock. I don't even know if he's popular, but we all want to be famous artists. Like Beeple, we want to make $70 million from an NFT. And we want to go around the world and show our art, and because it's awesome, right? But you don't really get there unless you're serving the world. How are you going to serve? How does your art serve the world? And you don't have to know that answer to that. You don't have to logically know. You don't worry about logically putting that into words. If you want to, you can, but this is not an art class. This isn't a university, right? We don't insist on putting things into logical, we don't need to do that. But you know in your heart if what you're doing is right, is if it serves the world. If you're following your passion, you've got to be doing something right. Maybe your art is just an inspiration for people to be creative in their own way. Art inspires more art. Creativity inspires more creativity. And that's really what we're here to do, is to make an artistic world out of all this. Because when more people are in touch with their creativity, we have a more free world. We have a more free thinking, enjoyable, spontaneous environment. It helps us evolve faster. When artists bring new things into the collective awareness, we're increasing the overall mind. We're growing, we're blossoming everybody's mind. And this may not result in dramatic overnight changes, but that's okay. Gradual is good. We need to be dropping bombs and blowing minds day in and day out. And when we drop, people say, I'm dropping an album, dropping a single. Drop. It's for the people. So consider how your work expands the consciousness of the world. What are you getting people to tap into? And then once you ask yourself that question, go ahead and let it go. You don't want to linger on it. You just want to ask it, move on. Getting stuck in your head kind of halts. It grinds the creative process to a halt. So we just let it go. Everything, we let it go. My workflow these days is pretty rapid fire. I mean, in part it's because I have access to AI, and so that enables me to work faster. But working fast is a blessing because it keeps the river flowing, keeps things moving, keeps the ideas coming. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't want to do fast artwork for the sake of speed. Don't stop working on a picture until it's as good as you can make it. But then let it go and move on to the next thing. Let it be imperfect and move on to the next thing. So I'll spend 2-3 days on a picture. I'll go back, and if I know that it's not ready, I'll just put it away, let it sleep in the iPad, and then go back to it later on and with fresh eyes and see what needs to be worked on. But at some point, I have to let it go. Give it to the world and move on. Art is free. Art is free because it's everywhere. It's so saturated. You see so much of it on social media and in the world. It's free to consume visually. Is it free to own? Not really. You got to buy the NFT, or if you want to see it every day in your house, you got to buy a print. But it's all, we have unlimited access to unlimited art, and it's free. And so, hey, just give it up to the world, man. Give it all up. And if you get rewarded as a result, that's excellent. And we do want to be richly rewarded for our work, but we kind of have to give it away for free first, Even if you just share it post it on Instagram, you're kind of giving it away for free a little bit. And it's all good. Get comfortable with that. Take pride in your body of work. Take pride in when you look back and scroll through your Instagram feed, look at all of what you created. It's like a museum. And you're the only person at the show. You're the only one showing off their work. All right, everybody. So this has been a Mind Blossom production. All right. Until next time, thank you for everything, and peace.